Welcome to another devlog for my mining game GeoDepths. I'll show you how I moved the home base from the surface of the moon to down deep below within a cave, and what major improvements I have made to the base building system. Let's get into it. In case you haven't heard of my game, let me introduce you. GeoDepths is a game that I am solely developing. In it, you pilot a drill deep underground, finding ore and exploring caves. You can refine and use the ore back at your home base, which you can customize with new rooms, more machines, and decorational items. You perform research to unlock more technologies, including upgrades to make your drill better. Caves contain many mysteries for you to discover and special resources to gather. The ultimate goal of the game is to dig deeper and deeper, with a light story to follow, which is yet to be implemented. Check out the game on Steam, try out the pre-release demo, and wishlist it to be notified of its full release. Now back to the devlog. As I mentioned earlier, you have a hub home base, in which all the refining, researching and upgrading will take place. Prior to this devlog, the home base is on the surface of the moon, and you can look out at it through windows. The surface was always looking a bit boring to me, and I really wanted to provide some excuse to let the player outside of the base. I've already got the assets for making a cave, so I thought, why not move the home base into a cave? So that's exactly what I did. I built a cave, just like what I've done several times before, and made a space for the drill dock, and a space opposite for the base. I figured it would be nice to use the conveyor belts that I implemented for the refinery again, so I chained one up between the drill dock and the hub. Using the screen here, you can offload all the resources from the drill and into the hub, and see and be proud of your latest haul. I next wanted to make several improvements to the base building system, some as feedback from players and others are things that I've always planned to get around to. Firstly was the build tool, which definitely needed a usability overhaul. Like what I did with all the monitor screens, I switched the build tool screen colors around and applied a cool font that I've been using. I also changed how you switch between build categories, using the number keys rather than scrolling through with Q and E. I found this a much better way, as you already have to scroll through the build items using X and C. And I was certainly still getting confused of which set of keys to use for which things to scroll through. Next I polished up how the building corridor doors worked. I won't go into the convoluted way adding and removing doors worked before, but at least now you can just easily add a door to a corridor and remove it if you change your mind. Previously, when building, there was no collision checking, so you could do crazy things like this, or even this. I wanted to allow this. The player should be able to do whatever they want to do, and frankly I just couldn't be bothered adding it. But I figured the game would look more polished if I added collision checking, so that's exactly what I did. Now when you go to place objects down, they turn red when they are in an invalid spot, and can only be placed down where they don't collide with any other objects. I found that many players wish to be able to mount the smaller terminals to walls. Before my changes, only the inventory screen would mount to the wall, and even then it could only be positioned in the centre of each wall. So I went ahead and completely overhauled the base building system, allowing certain objects to be mounted anywhere on walls, starting with the inventory screen. I even made it so that some objects have multiple placement modes, allowing the player to either place these small terminals on the ground, as they could before, or mount them onto the wall. I also went a step further and allowed a third placement mode, on top of desks and tables. I added a couple of desks to the game, allowing them to also be mounted onto walls, and then made it so that you can place the terminals on these desks. I look forward to being able to add more objects, whether functional or decorational, that can make use of this flexible system. Also, as one last thing, which you may have noticed already, but I overhauled the inventory screen, hopefully making it more interesting. I've separated the inventory list into raw, refined and curios, and made it so that the amount values flash when they increase or decrease. And added this mainly decorational bar graph, which also flashes in the same way. I also made it so that the smaller desk version of the inventory only shows one of the three resource categories, and you can interactively switch between them. Lastly, I used this new style for the drill inventory and the offloading screen. So I'll be uploading all these changes to the Steam demo very soon, so you can all try it out. I just need to ensure the game is in a demoable state, and I haven't left anything busted. Also, as a note, because of the drastic changes to base building, namely where the base building is performed, previous saves will be incompatible with any future versions, and new games will have to be created. Well, that's all I've got to show in this devlog. Subscribe so you don't miss out on the next one, and I'll see you then.